everybody, and welcome to From the Sideline. Today we have a jam-packed show. Technically, just one topic, as you see from the thumbnail, is which sleeper team will win the Super Bowl this year? That's a really good question that Cody and the boys thought up. So we are gonna nail it down tonight, and we are usually live on Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Right now, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and X on Sports Fluent, so you guys can check us out if you haven't already. And we'll get started. So, I'm going to introduce our hosts for today. My name is Monique. To the right of me is CJ, below is Cody, and right to the left is Josh. And we usually have Jackson with us, but he might pop in a little bit. We'll see. And then let's get started. So, like I said, today is all about the sleeper picks, and I believe Cody was the one. Well, we have a separate chat because I'm in Brazil right now, and that's not in the group chats that we're part of on Messenger because I'm in Brazil. So when we were talking about how was it the Pacers that was basically like a sleeper team that many people were talking about, and now they made it to the NBA Finals and they made it to Game 7, right? So very, very exciting. So that's how we started with this topic. And what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to split it up between AFC and NFC, and then we'll do some honorable mentions towards the end. That's kind of how I wanted to structure this going forward. So I want to start with CJ. Let's start with the AFC picks. Do you have any teams that you think might be what many people might be sleeping on, but they have a good chance of winning the Super Bowl?
Oh, Super Bowl sleeper contenders. There's a team that there's two teams I'm thinking of right now.
Okay.
One is like deep sleeper, right? Super deep sleeper. But I think we're gonna dip our toes into the kiddie pool to start off.
Yes.
As much as I think this is a boomer bust team this year. Josh, you might have a thing to say about this team, but
man,
I think the Minnesota Vikings could be a sleeper Super Bowl team if you want to have some fun with it. I mean, the defense was super electric last year. They did, there's a little bit of a reshuffling of that secondary, but I think, Brian Flores is a phenomenal defensive coordinator, and obviously Kevin O'Connell is a really great offensive coordinator. Obviously we have to put the caveat in here, which is who will be playing quarterback and how well will they be playing quarterback, and could we see a JJ McCarthy be is this kind of his sophomore rookie year? So can we see him have a rookie of the year-esque type of run, say as Jaden Daniels had last year, where he's kind of was in a perfect situation. He has abundance of weapons. So it's can he just, hand it off to Jordan Mason, hand it off to Aaron Jones enough, and then make sure Jay Jettis get his touches, and Addison and Hawkinson and Ty Felton, and you name them. Like, so many weapons they have on this offense, right? Obviously he did win the starting job last year before he did tear his meniscus. So obviously there was a lot of promise in him. So it's just whether or not you can get those rookie struggles, kind of win a couple, because it's going to be a tricky stretch between week 4 to 6. I think because that's when you guys go to back-to-back games overseas. So if you can, get him firing by then, and, hopefully you avoid a long period of a rookie slump. The Vikings team is very talented. It's so much talent on that roster. So I just think it makes too much sense as long as JJ McCarthy is at least adequate.
Okay, let's hand it over to Josh. Josh, what did you have to say about that? That's your team right there.
Give me a second here.
Switch jerseys.
So dramatic. Oh my gosh. I love it.
Oh man, it's like Brett Favre with the Jets and the Vikings.
The side of the jersey.
All right. So, see that, CJ? You were on my bad list, all right? You're not there no more. You're not there no more. I love you for that. So, all right. Love the take. I couldn't agree anymore. what made people main thing with the Vikings, this bad boy right here, is to a quarterback. I'm not uncertain about the quarterback. I feel very good about what's going on here. Dude has been proven to, it's kind of cliche, but in the day, it pays off of first one in, last one out, constantly asking notes from the defensive coach, the defensive players. Hey, what do you see? If you guys are doing this, what do you feel if I'll be doing this? How does this react to you guys and how you guys would defend this and vice versa? Constantly just feeding each other. And oh my gosh, for a child, that hurts. And he keeps on showing maturities over and over and over. There's constant glow and praise from everybody in that locker room, from the head honchos and ownership to the coaches to the players to shoot the refs, even and one on between. Everybody is glowing around this kid. Does he have a lot to prove? Yes. And I realize to say he's never took a snap in the NFL. Well, it's not true. He's never took a meaningful snap in the NFL. The people watched the preseason game he had against the Raiders. Dude was looking electric. He wasn't freaking out. He kept his poise in pocket, climbed the pocket, went through his reads, made a couple runs here and there. I think it's a good small fraction of what to see potentially what from him this year. Also, he's going to have his growing pains, obviously. And heard that from Mr. Colin Coward and whatnot, going off the rails on him, throwing a couple picks in practice and whatnot. No better time to throw picks and whatnot than through training camp to figure out what you can get away with. So make mistakes now in practice, what you're kind of seeing against blind Flores defense. Are you kidding me? What better way to test the waters of what you can and cannot get away with the arm strength, through getting the ball through the certain windows, the pressure, everything else in between. I'm not too worried about it. He's going to have an up and down season, but I'm not tripping the way. I think again, kind of high bar is set with Commander Jane Daniels, what he was able to do as a rookie. Who says that, McCarthy can't do the same?
Okay, Josh, is that your team you're going with, is the Minnesota Vikings, or do you actually have a sleeper team besides your team that you would consider to win the Super Bowl this year?
I have 6 teams, including the Vikings, that are all sleepers.
Okay, well, baby steps. We'll start with 1 or 2 right now.
All right, outside of the Vikings, Cowboys.
I feel like you always choose the Cowboys. I swear, Josh has always chosen the Cowboys for a lot of our segments, but that's just
or Packers, which kills me.
Closet Cowboys fan.
Stop.
Yeah. Okay, why the Cowboys, Josh? Come on.
Because they have talent across the board, every year in, year out. Essentially, it's never super bad or super great, but enough to skim by. I think if Dak stays healthy and whatnot, to utilize the weapons around him, got a little bit of offensive line help, not too much, but I think if he ever just takes that one step,
they got the wall of Tylers,
right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
I think it takes that one step. I think the team can make leaps and bounds. I think it all just kind of falls on Dak. So if he ever puts the pieces together, he could surprise some teams and whatnot.
Okay. Cody, do you agree with these 2 gentlemen, or are you going to go in another direction when it comes to these sleeper picks?
I mean, those 2 weren't on my list, to be honest. If I had to pick one out of the 2, I'd probably roll with the Vikings over the Cowboys. I'm not high on the Cowboys going in this year, but I think the Vikings, if McCarthy hits, then yeah, they could definitely sleeper. I don't know. They were 14-3 last year, so they were a pretty good team. So I don't know how much of a sleeper, but yeah, if McCarthy hits, they could be a really good team just because the roster and the coaching that they have. For me, the sleeper I took, at least out of the AFC, I went with the Chargers, team that made the playoffs last year, but one and done. I just feel like second-year Harbaugh, you always get that kind of bump from second-year Harbaugh. I really like the O'Marion Hampton pick in the first round this year. I think he's a good running back for them. I think he should start over Najee Harris on day 1. And then I just think that division could be open. I think the Chiefs could be vulnerable. Saw a little bit in the Super Bowl there where you can get after them a little bit. They lose Joe Thuney, another offensive lineman. You saw their offensive line was kind of wrecked in the Super Bowl as well. So I think it could be a time where the Chargers might be able to get in there. And the pressure is on, I think, Justin Herbert, because everybody thought he was like the next in line after Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar, but he really hasn't been that guy. And it's kind of like at that point where it's like you got to put up or shut up at this point. So I think pressure's on Herbert. Can he step up? I think really Harbaugh's second year is the big thing for me. There is why I think they could take the next step.
Okay, so I have a question for you guys, and this is a guessing game. Okay, so if we're talking about the AFC sleepers, sorry, no, actually, I don't remember which one this is a part of, but okay, out of all the sleepers, who do you think, out of all the teams in the NFL, would be the least likely to win the Super Bowl, but is considered the biggest sleeper, if that makes sense, because they're the least likely to win the Super Bowl. And there is one team that, if you actually look at the odds, it's insane. There's only one team that I'm thinking about right now, and I don't think any other team can beat the odds except this team. So I'm going to go to CJ. CJ, what team do you think I'm thinking of right now? The biggest sleeper, but the least likely to win the Super Bowl this year. Just one, man. It's not a hard one.
Has
I
to be
promise.
the Cleveland Browns, right?
Okay, I'm gonna reveal my answers after y'all guess. But give me the rationale. Why the Cleveland Browns then?
It's just a dumpster fire, right? Like I feel like it's just, it's poo poo.
Mm-hmm. Very easy. Okay, Cody, who do you think I'm talking about right now?
It's a good question. Shoot. Maybe the Jaguars. I don't know.
I know you always pick the Jaguars too
Yeah.
for like dumpster fire teams. So
well, yeah, I think they end up drafting in the top 5 or 10 like every other year, pretty much. So, yeah, and I haven't been high on Trevor Lawrence for a minute now. I think he's kind of been a bust.
Okay.
But I don't know if they're the worst team in the league, but I can't think of who you're thinking of right now too. Yeah.
Okay, and Josh, who do you think that I'm thinking of right now?
So you're saying the biggest sleeper, but makes it to the Super Bowl? But
Yeah,
that can lose the Super Bowl.
Out of all the teams in the NFL, right? I should have made this more clear. Sorry, guys. So this team is technically one of the worst teams. Technically one of the worst. No, I didn't say maybe the worst team, but one of the worst teams. But they're considered the biggest sleeper out of the list of sleepers that I've calibrated and researched and stuff like that. So out of all like those considerations, which team, Josh, do you think I'm thinking of? This is what I love to see on this show, man.
The Colts.
Okay, you guys have like all different answers. Oh my gosh. So we have the Browns. Yep, for CJ. And then we got the Jaguars for Cody, which I understandable teams, and then the Colts for Josh. So the team that I'm thinking of, and you might heckle at me for this, is the Chicago Bears. And you're like, some people are like, what? But like they have a chance, don't they? Well, do they? That's the question, right? So I don't know how I feel about Caleb Williams. I've always been questionable. Like I question him and the team for that. So that's one of the reasons why I picked him and picked the team. And they have new talent. They have DJ Moore. They have Rome. They have defensive additions. Yeah, okay, but is it gonna work, right? And if you want to know the odds for why I picked this team to be probably the biggest sleeper out of all the considerations piled together, they're a plus 6,000. Plus 6,000 is pretty darn big odd right there. So, right. And that's why I think a lot of people put them as like probably the biggest sleeper, if not one of the biggest sleepers in the NFL right now, because they're just like, they have all these pieces together, but will it work together? That's the question, right? So what do you guys think? I'm going to go to Cody first. What do you think about the Chicago Bears? Do you think they have a chance in hell of making it to the Super Bowl? What do you think?
It's funny you bring them up. They were on my list of NFC sleepers, to be honest. Not to win the Super Bowl, but to potentially make a run. just because I think they do have good pieces. You shore up the offensive line, you get a good center, a good guard. You already had good tackles and things like that. You get another weapon in the first round in Colston Loveland. Second round, you get Luther Burden, so you help out Caleb even more there. You get Ben Johnson, a guy who's coached in the NFC North for the last, 5-6 years, been successful on the offensive side. So I thought that they could be a sleeper. Now, I don't think they're going to go to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, but maybe then finally make the playoffs and maybe make some Bears fans happy for once. But yeah, so I think they could make a run and get to the playoffs. Probably won't win the division, but have to probably be a wild card team. But yeah, Super Bowl's probably not on the table, at least not now. But I was a fan of Caleb coming out of college, so I'm still a fan of him now. Don't love his dad and all his dad's meddling. I think that's kind of a little bit too much. But it's a little bit LeVar Ball-ish, but not that much. But I think they have a good roster. But yeah, there's been teams with good rosters before that haven't done squat, and they had a good roster last year and didn't really do much. So I think the pressure's on both Ben Johnson and Caleb. So we'll see. But if they can put it together, they should have a good team.
Yeah, I think that's why I question whether this team would make it even to the playoffs, because like you said, they have a lot of really good pieces. They're a really good team if you think of it tactically, but the consistency part of it is what makes me question if they're actually gonna make it super far this year in the season. Josh, what do you think? Do you think the Bears is it a proper, appropriate thing to do to say that they're one of the biggest sleepers, if not the biggest sleeper in the NFL?
I hate that take. Respectfully.
That's okay.
I don't think. I mean, yes, all the weapons they got around and whatnot, and the great, coaching addition and whatnot, fantastic addition. But at the end of the day, you still got that dude at quarterback who does not show at all through any part of the season that he can show maturity and whatnot. And at the end of the day, you show that he was kind of, pour me this, pour me that, and whatnot. And that's going to eventually rub off on other people. So how you carry yourself and whatnot can be infectious, and that can be a good thing or a bad thing. Like I said, how you carry yourself. He didn't do that very well. You can say, his body language for him to just laying dead on the ground or flopped over on the sideline against other players, or crying in his mom's hands and arms and whatnot during a game in college or whatnot. I'm sure it was a big moment, but my God, you're a QB. People are trying to look up to you as strong, masculine dude, can handle all pressure, not phased at all. That's kind of why people like Jane Daniels. Dude has stone face no matter what happened. You murdered by 7,000 pounds of defense linemen in his grill. He's like, all right, cool. Same face. He throws a 70-yard touchdown bomb. All right, cool. There's nothing phases that guy, and that's what people kind of love. I mean, sure, he can be a good, funny, storyline, to kind of pick on and whatnot, and it's going to continue to be that until he can prove to handle criticisms and whatnot, and not whine and complain, and go on to reporters that he would have rather played for the Vikings and whatnot. Until I see a different side of that dude and whatnot, where it make me take a step back and apologize, they ain't going nowhere. They'll say NFC North.
Okay, and last but certainly not least, CJ, what do you think of what I just said about the Bears being maybe one of the biggest sleepers in the NFL?
Obviously, I mean, you can, convince yourself in a pretty good argument why, this team could be, especially for betting odds and, obviously in real world. But at the end of the day, I think there's one anomaly I don't think anyone's really taken into effect here of what could be their biggest dividend that's going to go against them, and they're the Bears. They just
right.
It's similar to what the Cowboys do. It's kind of like a switch of Murphy's law of what can go bad goes. Literally, they just melted after the Hail Mary this past year. One bad thing goes against their way, and they just absolutely melted and destroyed, self-destructed. and similar to what the Cowboys do in December, just like a ticking time bomb. So again, Ben Johnson, first-time head coach, is going to have to do a lot. He's going to have to, really burn some sage in that building and really get some new juju flowing. Hopefully, he has the capacity to deal with the Chicago media and to deal with the new challenges that are going to come in Chicago, because there are going to be a lot of fans similar to the, New York Jets, to where it's like, they feel like something bad is going to happen inevitably, right? But like, you got to show them. I mean, Aaron Glenn come from the Detroit, right? So the Jets and the Bears they have fan bases that are just been tormented for years, right? And so it's like you have to, because it's similar to what Dan Quinn did this past year. It's like everyone's waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, yeah, we lost the first game of the year. It's like, of course, we knew that was going to happen, right? And you win one, and you win a couple. It's like, okay, this feels good. So then you just like, wow, like you don't want to get too excited. So it's just kind of like really kind of nurturing the fan base back by just doing enough to get them back on your good graces. So
that's fair. Okay, so 2 more things from me. When it comes to the AFC sleeper picks, there were actually 2 teams. I'm surprised you guys didn't mention them, and maybe there's a reason why you didn't mention these 2 teams. Number 1, what about the Houston Texans? Number 2, what about the Miami Dolphins?
Oh,
now, I know, I knew that one was gonna get one of you guys gonna go. Okay, so I understand with the Dolphins, it's like the only thing that anybody ever talks about is if Tua is gonna be healthy, right? Like that's literally like the end all be all of like the Miami Dolphins. They have like their offensive weapons, sure, but like if Tua's not healthy, then what's the point of all this, right? And then with the Texans, and you have like Shroud, and then you have a really good head coach. Like, what do you guys think about that? I'm going to start with Josh. Texans, what do you think about them?
I mean, I think he was injured a lot of the year. I think it's going to hurt a little bit losing Diggs. But at the same time, looking at all the little funny business he has going on, I don't think they're missing him too much. To say the least. I think the other pieces all around to put it together. They just gotta rise to the occasion. Whether they played the Chiefs last year, they just kind of started slowly but surely losing their cool and whatnot, and getting into fights and whatnot. So it's kind of showed when that kind of stuff happens, like you already know that you're already playing from behind. Is in the mental game alone. As a player, that's where it starts and ends. You can be the best talent in the world, but if you get in your own head, it don't matter what no coach says or anything. It don't matter at the end of the day. So as long as players can keep their cool and whatnot, and coaches don't try to outcoach themselves, I think Texans can be right there in it.
Okay. And CJ, what do you think about the Texans being a contender?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't consider them a sleeper because they won the division the last 2 years in a row. They are a good team. I mean, it's like, as much as we say that CJ Stroud had a down year last year, they still won 10 games, right? And it's instead of, being more reliant on the passing game and, the electricity of that passing game, they had an electric Joe Mixon who everyone thought was kind of down and out. Speaking of down and out, Tyrese Halliburton just went down. So the Houston Texans, they really this is a really good team. I think they have probably the best secondary, and they probably will have one of the best secondaries in the NFL. Have one of the best corners in Derek Stingley, and then I really like Lassiter as well. So, Kamari Lassiter. They got Lassiter.
They do, yeah.
So it's a good defense. They're going to be sound, but going through a new offensive coordinator this year, we shall see if there's going to be any growing pains. You're going to be breaking in 2 rookie receivers who I like them a lot. I like their profiles. I mean, they love Iowa State wide receivers. They got 3 of them. It's going to be fun. But again, I think there's just going to be some growing pains. So you can see a step back happen because I can tease this for a little later for the deepest of sleeper teams that I have that could possibly leave the door open for this team if they do slip on a rock climbing back up that mountain.
Okay, and last but not least, Cody, what do you think of the Texans being contender for the AFC?
So I'm with CJ. I don't know if I see them as a sleeper because they've been like the 3 or 4 seed or four seed the last 2 years, won the division back-to-back years. But I kind of think that's also their ceiling until I see otherwise, to be honest. Like their ceiling's like, okay, they can win the South, but can they really contend with the top of the AFC, whether that's the Ravens, the Bills, the Chiefs? Still don't know if they're on that level yet. I do like their additions. We'll see if they can get anything out of Nick Chubb to pair with Joe Mixon. I think that could be really interesting there to running the ball there. But receivers but then you lose your offensive line, you lose your left tackle. CJ Stroud was already one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league last year, and you lose that. So I don't know. I think there'll probably be a wild card team, or I think they probably win that division again because I think it's probably one of the worst divisions in the league. But I think that's their ceiling. I don't see them doing any more damage than divisional round like the last couple of years.
Fair enough. Okay, let's move on then. Okay, let's stop talking about AFC. Let's move on to the NFC. I always thought to myself, which of the divisions do I prefer most? Like, obviously, like our team, Cody, is from the AFC, so like I'm a little bit biased to it, but I actually love talking about the NFC teams, maybe a little bit more than the AFC teams. So let's go, Josh. Who is your NFC sleeper pick? Actually, one of them, because you probably have multiple.
I do. So outside of I brought the Vikings and Cowboys, I think Falcons.
Wow. Okay.
I think they can sneak in there. They have a lot of good weapons all around.
Yeah.
And dude last year slinging that ball and whatnot. I think he has some promise. You know, he still got Kirk Cousins, but now he's the clipboard.
Who did they add at receiver?
Who did that? Oh,
I don't know. I don't.
Because I don't think.
How do we not know?
Yeah, say not anyway. Yeah, I guess that tells you right there, right? If we don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I just know off that they got a solid roster. Solid, not great, but solid across the board and whatnot. And I think they have potential to, sleep their way into the Super Bowl potentially. You never know by the great good grace of God and some calls maybe going their way. I think they can get there.
Okay. Cody, who is your NFC sleeper pick?
All right, this is my deep sleeper. I don't know if they could win a Super Bowl. I think or get there, but
yeah.
I'm gonna roll with the Seahawks.
Oh, that was mine. Okay, keep going.
If Sam Darnold can be just like anywhere close that he was last year for them, that would be huge. You get Cooper Kupp. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is ready to kind of take that next step and be one of the better receivers in the league. Still got 2 good running backs in Walker and Charbonnet. And that defense, I think, is going to get better and better under Mike McDonald. So I think this is a team, that division outside of maybe the Rams is pretty open. I don't know what to expect out of the Niners or the Cardinals. So they could sneak into a wild card spot, maybe get a run, make a run. If they can get a home playoff game, win the division, it's always hard to win in Seattle. But it's a team I just think they can make a run. If Sam Darnold can just tap in a little bit of, not the last 2 games of Minnesota last year. Sorry to bring those up, Josh. And that was probably sore subject there. But the rest of the season, not the last 2 games, the rest of the season with Sam Darnold, if he can just be like most of that, I think they can have a real good shot to make a playoff run.
That's so funny. I was just like, I hope someone says the Seahawks because I didn't want to explain just because of like the fact that it's kind of a deep sleeper pick, and I was kind of scared. I was like, I don't know if I should say the Seahawks, but at least someone did, so I'm very happy about that. Yeah. Okay, CJ.
I could be totally wrong. Sorry. I could be totally wrong. Sam Darnold could turn back into Sam Darnold of the rest of his career, and they could so yeah, I could totally be wrong, but yeah.
Okay, CJ, do you want to reveal your deep sleeper pick, or do you want to wait and just kind of give us another one from the NFC?
I could wait because my deep sleeper.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be. I can wait a little bit longer just to build the suspense just a little bit longer.
Okay.
Because Jackson's not here. How about let's go with the Carolina Panthers as a deep sleeper this year? As we kind of keep on this narrative. We keep on this narrative with the Carolina Panthers and all of the things that happened. The Ohio State's winning the national championships and your J-Lo's getting divorced and all the fun stuff, right? But But let's actually look at this. Let's actually analyze what the Carolina Panthers have done. Right, they took a bold risk with benching Bryce Young last year, right? Mm-hmm. But it proved to work. We're seeing his swagger. I'm pretty active on Carolina Panthers Twitter, and I'm seeing when he's making plays, he's more vocal with J.C. Horn, which is showing a different side of him, which is saying that Bryce Young is getting more comfortable. He's getting more comfortable in his skin and showing that he could be a leader, a vocal leader at that, right? Then there's running back room. Obviously, Chuba Hubbard showed out to be a top 5 running back, potentially, that he did last year, carrying the rock and was really well. But then he also added to that room Rico Dowdle. They got Trevor Etienne. Obviously, their rookie last year, he tore his ACL again, so he's not going to be out. He's going to be out the entire year, right? Mm-hmm. This wide receiver room, they went out and added Tedero McMillan in the first round this year. After last year, they traded up back into the first round to get Xavier Legette, who's having a pretty eventful offseason, if you may say so. Then you still have Adam Thielen, and you have Jalen Coker, who was one of my favorite sleeper receivers last year from Holy Cross, and then Jimmy Horn Jr., who could possibly be a little bit of a spark in the punt and return game as well. Offense was one of the top best pass protecting teams, and they ran the ball really well last year. The defense is what's going to have the eye of everybody. Can they stop a nosebleed? Can they stop anything, right? With a healthy Derek Brown coming back and the new rookies, Nick Scorton and Princely coming in from Ole Miss, this could be a youthful, energetic defense that can feed off of an offense that could be explosive and scoring for you. So, again, the NFC South is not very strong. The South divisions are not very strong. Oh. So, it is very possible if they win 8 to 9 to 10 games this year, and they have an opportunity to make a run. I really think that J.C. Horn is going to lock down a side of the football field for them. There's talks about them possibly signing Justin Simmons late free agency. So then it's like you can get some veterans in that secondary to help, especially if you can get any sort of pass rush from Nick Scorton or Princely, right? You can really see it, right, with the Carolina Panthers, and this could be their year. Bryce can have the swagger, and you know what? Bryce might be on his way to an MVP campaign similar to a Cameron Newton. Oh, I'm just saying it makes too much sense.
For Jackson or CJ talking? I don't know.
Right. He's morphed into his body. Right. That's what happened.
That's crazy.
But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, Jackson's definitely pulling the strings on this one, but no, it's like I don't know. Maybe they should hire Jackson should consider teaming up with CJ when it comes to these picks. That'd be fun, guys. You know what we should do is that y'all should once we have all 5 of us on camera, we should team up and kind of do picks together, and that'd be interesting to see. Or we can go head to head. So let's just say Jackson and CJ, Josh and Cody, y'all team up, and then we can do debates or something like that. One team, AFC versus NFC. I don't know. Give an example. These are really good ideas. I actually really like that idea. I'm gonna probably roll with it for one of the shows. But okay, so let's move on to. I want to know what CJ's sleeper pick is because it's really deep. So let's go because I know Josh has more sleeper picks for sure to talk about. So Josh, if you were to pick one that would be considered your deepest sleeper pick, unless you've already said it, then let me know. Who would it be in terms of which team?
Yeah, I probably already mentioned it. I think it might be. I think Falcons could be this big, realistic sleeper one. I think could be there. Yeah. Otherwise, Buccaneers, could have something to say regarding the Panthers.
Okay, Cody, is yours technically the Seahawks? Technically, the one that you were considering the deep sleeper pick, or do you have some other team that would be beaten by that?
That was my deep sleeper pick. I have one more team that I think could be a sleeper, but my deep sleeper was the Seahawks or even the Bears when you brought them up. That was the deep sleeper, but yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
One other team? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the one other team I thought maybe could be the Broncos. I like Sean Payton. I thought Bo Nix played really well last year, kind of under the radar. Kind of going back to the AFC West, I still think that division could be open a little bit. With the Chiefs taking a step back a little bit. I like their defensive moves this past offseason. Dre Greenlaw, Talon Ogufunga, DJ Jones. I thought you kind of got better on defense there. RJ Harvey, I thought was a little bit of overdraft where they drafted him, but he could still be a good player, the running back out of UCF. Yeah. So I thought they did some good things. I like their first round pick, Ajay Barron. I thought he was the best corner in the draft and not Travis Hunter. So I thought they had a good offseason and good momentum. Sean Payton's obviously been there, done that, won a Super Bowl and some things like that. And Bo Nix is kind of like a poor man's Drew Brees, so maybe that could just be his Drew Brees going forward as well.
Yeah, shoot, I was thinking, I was looking at my NFC list. Go with AFC kind of stuff. I was also thinking top of the Broncos. I think they could maybe slip in there too. I think the Steelers now we got to go A-Rod in the joint now.
Okay, yeah. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't think of that until you just said it, Josh. So that was a really good team. Yeah, I would definitely consider them to be a sleeper. I wouldn't say they're like they're probably in the middle for me in terms of like they wouldn't be a deep sleeper. Maybe because of A-Rod. Maybe I'm a little bit, like I love Aaron Rodgers, guys. He's actually my favorite quarterback, and y'all can dispute me all you want with quarterback situations, but he is my favorite quarterback, so I would definitely consider him on the list for sleeper teams. Okay, CJ, this is your moment to shine. Unless you want to prolong it even more. I still have topics, man, we can talk about.
I think everyone's been waiting long enough, and I can go ahead and reveal this deep sleeper. I was waiting to see if anyone was going to take this team, but this sleeper is so deep down. I don't think anyone even has them on their radar. Okay, so the weatherman couldn't predict this sleeper team that I'm going to pick for you guys right now. And I just want you to follow the logic. If you thought I was really selling you guys on the Carolina Panthers, well, I got a team that I can sell you on. And it might sound sour at first, but just like Sour Patch Kids, this is going to get sweeter as I go on and explain this team. And it's the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, no.
All right, man. Do your sales job. I'm
all ears. Oh, my God.
Yep. Yeah.
He's lost it, guys. No, I'm kidding. Keep going.
I'm all ears. That's got to be good.
So the Tennessee Titans is a team that is in one, for the sake of them, in a very, very weak division. As I had a bit of a little tease earlier about the Houston Texans, and if they make any type of slip on that mountain, there could be a Titan, a Cam Ward Titan that could be on the tails of possibly leading his team to a Rookie of the Year campaign. Could be similar to a Jaden Daniels, that could be similar to what CJ Stroud did as a rookie, getting that team winning 10 games, winning their division, and getting a home playoff game for Tennessee, right? Which is going to help lead them into their new stadium that's going to be built in 2020. I think it's 7 at this point now. One thing that I don't think people realize is that the Tennessee Titans had one of the better defenses in the league last year. Their front 7 is pretty good. Big, stout players. They didn't get Ladarius Sneed for most of last year once they made that big trade to get him from the Chiefs. But that was a young team that was hungry, and they got takeaways, and they got to the quarterback, and they did really well. But they had Will Levis on their team, and Will Levis was not very good, okay? But this year, with a renaissance man of Cameron Ward, who's already leading team meetings, who's already conveying leadership and setting a standard of what a Titan needs to be. You have players like Calvin Ridley, where he had a good year, over 1,000 yards receiving, but I think it's going to rejuvenate him to see those more explosive plays that we saw more of him in Atlanta. They have a veteran, Tyler Lockett, who's going to be that third down guy that you're just going to be like, how did he get open and just find the seam and the soft spot in the defense? I'm not going to give any hope for Treylon Burks. I think that is a washed pick. But I think Xavier Restrepo will be a guy that people will be talking about. I know he was undrafted, but he already has the chemistry with Cam Ward, and he was the reason why he got signed to the Tennessee Titans. And Elick Amainer is one of my favorite receivers from Stanford, 6'2", really raw receiver. I think he runs really fast. I think they have some young pieces that you can be really surprised with, right? I think this offensive line will be better than what people expect. And I think they're going to be good, led by Cam Ward. And I think they're going to have some sneaky wins. But when it comes to winning in division, they're going to take care of business. And the biggest thing I think that's going to be their X factor is as long as Cam Ward is at a decent level, he will be able to lead this team. They still have Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. I don't love that running back room, but they are changing the pace enough of backs that you can use and utilize to really kind of be a change of pace. And you're going to see more similar of an offense to the Cincinnati Bengals, where they're going to let that thing fly. And I think with the young receivers coming in, mixed with Tyler Lockett and Calvin Ridley, it's going to be more explosive. And I think Cam Ward is going to rip it. He's going to rip it and grip it. And that defense is going to be able to continue to eat and progress on what they did year one with the young, hungry defensive coordinator that they got. Because if you're continuously, holding down the game and then your offense just cannot stay on the field, your team's going to get deflated and they're going to get defeated. And they just obviously they broke, And so they did the best they could. But I think with Cam Ward being competent, I think he's going to hit the ground running. Like, no one's talking about Cam Ward, right? No one's talking. Like, he is literally the least talked about first overall pick in NFL history. People's like, oh, yeah, Cam Ward got drafted. Okay, where's Shador going, right? Or where's Travis Hunter going? Oh, it was a trade, right? And it's like, I feel like people are going to notice him. And they're going to be like, wow, why were you talking about him? Like, and people are going to act surprised like it came out of nowhere. Dude, he was the first overall pick. He earned it. He came from 0 stars to first overall pick. And I think the Tennessee Titans will surprise some people and make a playoff run.
Wow, that was really good, CJ. I gotta give you some props for that. For sure. I swear he should be like a sports agent or something like that. That you sold me on a team. That's crazy. I don't now. Will I follow through with that? Maybe.
I would put a couple dollars for them to make the playoffs.
I would say that should be a solid bet. I don't know what their odds are.
I don't know what their bet. They're not even on my list, so I have to look it up. You guys should definitely look that up, and then we'll convene right after, because that would be. Now you know what, CJ. That was a really good speech. I feel like you've rehearsed this or something like that.
Just on the spot.
You're so passionate about. I didn't know you're so passionate about the Tennessee Titans that way, but
I'm not.
Maybe Cam Ward. You're a Cam Ward passionate.
I do love Cam Ward. I've been a big fan of Cam Ward since Washington State. So.
Now it all makes sense. Okay. So, guys, we talked about AFC, NFC, deep sleep picks. We talked about all of that. But what about teams that for some reason are considered really top tier teams to win the Super Bowl, but they're probably not going to for whatever reason. So let me give an example. Yes. Let me give an example. So my team that a lot of people would say would make it to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, have the potential to win the Super Bowl or make it to the finals, but probably not going to, are the Detroit Lions. That's my team. Because if anything last year has shown us is that they had everything. They had everything going for them, and all of a sudden they got stopped by, I believe it was Washington, right, CJ? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember that game very vividly, and they got demolished in that game.
Well, so, the ass, some would say.
Yes, exactly. So that was one of those teams that I would never put them as a sleeper team, but I would never put them as a team that would be like considered high on my list to win the Super Bowl, right? The Detroit Lions are 100% that team for me. And I think their ceiling is that they're gonna make it to a few rounds into the playoffs, but they're not gonna make it to the Super Bowl. That's just how I see it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of Detroit Lion fans out there that are very hopeful, and I'm so sorry to tell you, you're probably not gonna get to the Super Bowl, or if anything, you're not gonna
Oof.
win the Super Bowl. Okay, really harsh words, but that's just kind of like where I'm coming from. So I'm gonna go with Josh. Josh, do you have a team like that? Do you have a team that should not be not considered a sleeper, but not considered high up enough to win the Super Bowl or make it to the Super Bowl finals?
Outside of agreeing with the Lions take, loved it because
Yeah,
you won't deserve to be there anyway.
I know.
For multiple reasons, for sure.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I'm thinking out of the two that's in my head, I think Ravens maybe.
Wow. Okay. Now,
Okay.
rationale. We need the rationale for this, please.
Um, they just seem to keep getting in their own way. I mean, every single time they have all the talent and whatnot, but at the same time, I think sometimes when the light gets too bright for Lamar, he ends up just turning into a running back and throwing desperate balls and whatnot. And you can only do so much with that. I mean, it's helping get through the season, but one gets a thick. I mean, the playoffs are essentially the best of the best and whatnot. And I think sometimes they not only him, but I'll see the quarterback is kind of the nucleus of it all. All falls on him. And in a time where maybe his defense might not playing all the best, maybe the running backs aren't doing the best, that's the time where you got to shine. And instead of, he's supposed to be through like 250, 300, 350 passing yards, 300 or 3-4 touchdown passes, but it turns into like 200 passing yards, 80 rushing yards, and maybe like two touchdowns and like 2 interceptions. Where it turns out to be every single playoffs. I mean, I don't have the verbatim stats and whatnot, but that's what it appears to be every single time. That's why I haven't seen him in the Super Bowl, since 2012, but he's been with the Ravens for a hot minute. So
that's fair.
My little take on that.
Okay, Cody, what about you? What team would you say would be on that list that I just created?
Gotcha. Yeah, a team that I'm not as high on, that I hear other people like on TV they're pretty high on every year, is the Green Bay Packers. Like, to me, I don't know. I think they're kind of mid. They don't. Matthew Golden was their first round pick. They were kind of like, okay, who's their number one wide receiver? Is it gonna be him? Is it Dobbs? Is it Christian Watson? Who's it gonna be? Outside, and then with Jordan Love, to be honest, I thought Jordan Love was paid way too soon. He's basically paid off of 8 games, his like 4th year in the league, because he sat behind Rodgers for the first couple of years. So
great agent.
Yeah, I was like, great job by your agent. Him and Kirk Cousins probably have the same agent, just keep getting guys paid. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're that good. You lose Jair Alexander, is that a positive or is that a negative?
Well, he didn't play much, so I mean, it's not much.
Yeah, it's not a big issue, but to me, they were 1-5 in the division last year too. So the only game they won was an overtime game, I believe, against the Bears on the road, and then you lose to the Bears at home. So I just think they're always the team that everybody talks about every year. I don't think they're that good of a team. I think Matt LaFleur is a solid coach, but I don't think Jordan Love's that great of a quarterback, to be honest. And I just don't love their roster. Their offense outside of Josh Jacobs, is nothing that I don't look at anybody on their roster that scares me, that scares any other team. And the same with the defense. There's nobody on their defense. You're like, okay, well, we got a game plan around that guy. There's really nobody on that either. So tough division too with the Vikings, Lions, other teams. So I just everybody always likes to talk about the Packers because they're one of the most popular teams in the league, but I think they're overrated. I don't think
I was going to say that's the exact word that I was going to say, that like Cody's the whole team preference and choice was because they were overrated. The Packers are overrated for sure. I 100% agree with that. CJ, last but not least, do you have a team on that list that I just created?
So I'm kind of going back and forth with these two teams because I'm a little torn of who I want to go. Like, team that's not really, rated that's that bad, but a team that's not really a Super Bowl contender. You know, I wanted to trash the Miami Dolphins bad because I just really am just over this organization and what they're doing. And
Right.
I think my hot take of this year will be that the Miami Dolphins will be picking with the first overall pick next year. That's where I'm going with it. That's how much of a I don't like this team, right?
No.
But to answer this question, it has to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm starting to sour on this team in terms of the fact that this is the last window of this aging team, right? And aging at all facets of the organization. With Tomlin is getting up there, right? It's about to be year 19 for him for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It might be time for a new voice, possibly, right? And then, you know, when you say that, why does Mike Tomlin needs to leave? He's never had a losing season. But that can also be the problem. Never having a winning season. Never having a losing season, excuse me. And which means that you're going to be just above mid or that's it. Average to a slightly above average, right? Making the playoffs and then being bounced out really quick. So what does that do for your organization where you're picking 20 to 22 every year, right? We should just call that the Steelers pick, right? Because, yes, your teams, you scrape up. Like this, there's not a lot of talent on this team, right? So you can give Tomlin a hall. He's already in the Hall of Fame for what he's done, right? But at the same time, you have to bottom out or make better decisions at the quarterback position. And Aaron Rodgers could prove me wrong in you know, whatever, 20 weeks or whatever it's going to be once the season is nearing and we're at the playoffs again, and they could be, you know, winning a lot of games. But why are we still expecting a lot from older players? Like, you know, it's similar to like in basketball. I use the analogy, wrong show, but Kevin Durant just got traded today.
Yes.
He's 36 now. He got traded for 4 first-round picks and 2 players. Why are we expecting a lot from older, aging players? So it almost feels like it's malpractice to go for what now 41-year-old who just had Achilles surgery not too long ago to play quarterback for you when your team is on his last legs to try to cling. If like I'm telling you, like this Super Bowl window, like you can put a piece of paper through it, how much is open, because it's very small. Because we don't even know if TJ Watt is going to get signed, right? Obviously, everyone assumes he's going to get signed, but TJ Watt's 33 now. He's not young. So it's like, who's your new stars that you're ushering in to be the new face of the Steelers? What is going to be the Steelers? Are Steelers just going to be an old team that we, you know, chug along to make the playoffs because they're, you know, experienced? Because if we keep doing that for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're just going to turn into the old Jeff Fisher teams with the Tennessee Titans or the St. Louis Rams. Mid. They're going to be the Eli Manning of the NFL. Right? So it's I think that's just what the problem with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's why their fans are so angry, want Tomlin out. It's because, yes, I'm glad that we're not having losing seasons. But would you rather be? I would rather be, for lack of a better phrasing, a bipolar team, really good or really bad. Because if you can have that yo-yo effect, if you bottom out and be really bad, hey, you can get a really good player in return, and then you can steady the shit. But you know, living in mediocrity, that's kind of the worst place to be.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you're in the middle or just above mid, then you don't have the opportunities, like CJ said, like in the draft, and then you're also like not, you know, making it past like whatever round in the playoffs, right? So like, it's definitely like a lose-lose situation when you're stuck in that chance. Okay,
They're building on an old foundation, and that's the problem.
yeah. It's a foundational change that they have to make. CJ, you're 100% right about that. Any last thoughts, guys, before I close this out and talk about our merch that we have?
Only to kind of piggyback on what CJ said, as a Vikings fan and whatnot, you'll never see us, picking within the top 5. Ever. You'll never see it. We all see us usually in the teen area to the 20s area, year in and year out. It has pros and cons to it, but like the cons of it's kind of mediocrity. Like, what's the next step going to come? What's it take to get to that next step? But also on the flip side, it keeps the team relevant and whatnot, and players relatively happy, and makes you players want to come aboard. If you got a solid, show you guys a stable program, have what it takes to stay alive and whatnot. That makes free agents want to come there. Fills butts in the seats and whatnot. Makes it a good attraction for people to come. Versus if you're a losing team or barely surviving to become mediocre, then as a free agent, you're like, ooh, do I really want to go there? Do I really want to go if they're not progressing the players and not doing anything to help their case? I mean, there's a lot of luck, but getting to them have like a 500 season. I think that's gonna be the other on the flip side of that coin.
You gotta pay a loser tax if you're bad.
Yes.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
There you go, guys. Well, I thought that this topic was incredible. I thought it was a lot of fun for all of us to talk about. Sleeper picks, always a good time, especially on From the Sideline. Now, what also is good is that we have merchandise. That's right. As you can see, www.fluid.printflyme, and you guys can get us these From the Sideline t-shirts. It's funny because if Jackson was here, he would have been like, guys, look, it's like the Carolina Panthers colors and stuff, right? So that's usually how the shirt really looks like. It's really cute. So go pick it up for $19.99 and rock it while you're watching us on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. All right, guys. That will be it for this week. We'll be back next week at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we will see you guys then. Have a good one.
Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.